Howdy everybody, and thanks for checking out today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about a few add-ons that can be used to improve your DPS, and it does that by helping us choose the best gear possible, regardless of that piece of gear's item level. So why do we run simulations on gear, and why does it matter if Blizzard already gives us an item level? That's because the item level doesn't actually take into account what stats are better for you and your build, nor does it take into account other attributes that might be on the gear, such as whether it has a prismatic socket or not, and what corruption attributes you may have. So simming or simulation crafting is a way to take your character into a computer simulated boss fight in order to see what your potential DPS is on that character based on the build and the gear that you're currently wearing. Now, I'll get into how we do this more later, but the idea isn't for you to be able to see what DPS you're hitting, or should be hitting, because mechanics, having to move around, having to use utilities, interrupts, lag, your rotation, all of that's going to combine to affect your output DPS. So what we're actually doing here is generating a set of stat priorities so that when you get a new piece of gear, the add-on can actually look at the stats that are on it and tell you straight up whether that's an upgrade to your DPS or not. Okay, so let's get started. You're going to need two add-ons for this process, the first of which is this add-on called Simulation Craft. This add-on will help export all the details you need in order for the external website or application to run the simulated boss fight on your character. The second add-on we're going to be using today is called Pawn, P-A-W-N. The idea of this add-on is to analyze any gear that you've got either on you or in your bags, and it then provides information in the tooltip as to whether that's an upgrade or not, what percentage of an upgrade it is, and it can do that for several specializations. Okay, we've got those add-ons installed, so now we need to log into our character and activate the Simulation Craft add-on. You can do that by either clicking on the Simulation Craft icon shown there on the minimap, or you can use the command /simc. That's going to bring up this string that you can see on the screen now, and all you have to do is push Ctrl-C to copy that to your clipboard, then hit OK. Now we're ready to run our simulation. So there's a few directions we can go from here. There's a standalone desktop application you can use, or there's also the website raidbots.com. So that's what I'm going to be using today. That's the easiest. So you'll see there's a bunch of options on the screen here. What we're going to do is start by choosing stat weights. Here we can pretty much ignore everything except for the load from SimC add-on. We're going to highlight that text box and just push Ctrl-V to paste in the information that we got from our add-on in the game. Once you finish there, hit your generate button and it'll start running the simulation. Now you may go into a queue, and depending on what time of night or day it is and how busy it is, it may take a few minutes to get started. Now I've sped this up here so it does appear to be quite fast, but it's a pretty complex simulation, so it will take a little while. So now the simulation's finished, I can see a whole wealth of information about my character. So I've got some stat weightings there that you're welcome to have a look through. I've got my DPS number up the top of the screen there, which is handy to take note of because you can compare that against other simulations when you get an upgrade. Now the thing we're most interested in here though is this pawn string at the bottom, so go ahead and push copy to clipboard, and then it's time to head back into WoW and into your logged in character. So now that we're back in WoW, open your character window by hitting either C or the icon, and you'll see a pawn button at the bottom right of where your gear is there. So now that we're in there, hit the Scales tab, and the first thing you want to do is make sure Manual is selected as the option at the bottom of the screen. Then under the Share Your Scales section there's an Import button. We're going to click that, and it'll have a little text box. So we paste our pawn string into that text box and then hit OK. So that's basically it. You've now created a custom scale that pawn will use to indicate whether an item in your bag is an upgrade or not. So you'll see here, as I mouse over this, I've got 2 of my scales are telling me that that piece of item is an upgrade. So in this case, I'd equip that, I'd run another simulation, and I'd check that the DPS had actually gone up, just to be sure. So this method isn't 100% perfect, because your stat weighting can't tell you whether a corrupted piece of gear is going to increase your DPS or not. And you also want to make sure that you gem and enchant your items before you sim them, because you want to get an accurate representation and an accurate comparison against the other pieces of gear that you're trying to figure out whether to upgrade or not. So that's it from me today. You may have some interest in skipping the queue by running the desktop application instead of raid bots. So I will in a future video go through how I've set that up in order to try and get the best results possible out of it. Thank you very much if you've stuck with us through to the end of the video, and hopefully that helps you choose your gear. So I'll see you out there. Keep on slaying.